you guys. How's everybody doing tonight? All right, good. It's just 7 o'clock on a Monday night, and you know what? I'm so glad to be here, and I'm glad everybody took the time to come in tonight and just support the tour program. My name is Mona Condley, and I am the outreach specialist for our DOH, which is Department of Health. Cheyenne and Arapaho Tradition Out Addiction. Have y'all heard of the Tradition Out Addiction program? Have y'all heard of it? Okay. I'm the outreach person for that program. And anyways, I just want to welcome everybody tonight to the Golden Aunties Week. I guess that's what they're calling it. I was thinking, golden, does that mean that we're all old over like elders or what? So I'm not quite sure what that means, but maybe they can explain it to me later. But I am, or almost will be, an elder. And I got 5 more months to go. So anyway, I'll be up there, and I can't wait for that check and for them to pay my bills. No. So, go ahead. What? Okay, so dang it! Don't say that to me, okay? Oh, all right, all right. Well, anyway, so welcome you guys. Welcome to the Golden Aunties night week. I Tonight our speaker is Casandra Frazier, and you guys are going to love her. I mean, she worked for the tour program, and she was just awesome. She's a very awesome speaker, and she has a powerful testimony, uh, and I also want to say that I'm going to be the speaker for Friday night, which is the final night. I guess they're just leaving the final night for the grand finale. Eh? But I am going to be on my night. I am going to be like doing giveaways, so y'all can come back, okay? Hey. Actually, I'm going to be handing out tickets, and we're going to be doing drawings, okay? So y'all come. I got lots of stuff to say, and hopefully encouraging words to all of you. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Casandra Frazier. You guys give her a hand. Thank you.
She said I was awesome. I was like, am I not awesome anymore? Pretty sure I'm grown. I've matured a little bit. Hi, I'm Casandra Frazier. Neishave, Ma'ev Patae, Natistus. Hello, good evening. My name is Casandra Frazier. My Indian name is Red Leaf Woman, and I'm Cheyenne. I'm also a descendancy of the Ottawa Potawatomi tribes and the Ogallala Lakota Sioux. So I just want to start off with a moment of silence. No, I just want to start off with prayer. I'd like to, anytime I get the opportunities to speak about what the Lord has done, that's the least I can do is give him the glory and, go to him before in prayer. So, Hahomaheo, thank you, Heavenly Father, for this beautiful day. Thank you for your mercies. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for your hand of protection that you continue to place around myself, my family, my community, Lord. I just ask that you just continue to bless each and every person represented here, Lord, their families, where they come from. Lord, I just thank you for showing them traveling mercies, Lord, as we got a lot of family, friends, sisters, brothers that traveled afar, Lord. And I just thank you for that. I thank you for their willingness to share their experience, strength, and hope, Lord. I just thank you once again for this opportunity, and I just pray that anything that's not of me, Lord, you leave to the side, Lord, and you just use me as your willing vessel. Lord, I just ask that you be with the viewers online, Lord, those that couldn't be here, and those that wanted to be here, Heavenly Father. Continue to bless them, continue to shower them with your love, with your grace and your mercies. Once again, I just want to thank you, Heavenly Father, for your faithfulness, for your love, and just for pulling me out of that miry pit, Heavenly Father. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. Oh, man. It's kind of surreal to me being up here, getting to tell my story, my testimony, the things that God has done for me, what he's brought me out of. Like I said, my name is Casandra Frazier. I'm from a little town called Thomas, Oklahoma. Terriers, yeah. Thomas Terriers. My dad is Jerry Frazier. It's now Jerry Whitetail. My mom is Kimberly Easterbrook. I come from the Whitetail family and the Menzie family from the Michigans. But I guess I wasn't really for certain where I wanted to start off with, I think a lot of what got me here today was a lot of addiction, alcoholism, substance abuse issues, mental health disorders, domestic violence, all these bad things. I was exposed to him as a young, as a young girl, really young girl. I thought it was a thing to do. I thought it was a normalcy growing up in my life. My parents divorced early on. I think 4 or 5 years old. Well, not quite divorced, but split up. Already went into other relationships. So there was that fight between them. Not feeling good enough, not feeling like I belonged anywhere. And so I always looked for validation in people, places, and things. I remember as a young person, as a young kid, looking for validation in others. And so I was always tried my best, did my best in everything that I done. As an adult, I didn't realize how much that affected me. I didn't realize how much that drove my addiction. I was 6 years old, the time that I remember taking my first drink. And the situation that arose from that was whenever an issue that had happened between the man that my mom was seeing and her, and we had gotten kicked out, and there wasn't anything left to drink, and I was thirsty, and that's the only thing that she had on her was a beer. And so that's the first time I remember having a drink. It could have been before that, but that's where I remember it. And so I knew by the time I was 9, 10, somewhere around the age range, I was already an alcoholic. And so by the time I was 11 years old, I had already been smoking weed. By the time I was 12, I had injuries that had happened from playing sports. And so I was already abusing pills. It wasn't too long after that I had begun to mess with harder stuff. Tried cocaine for the first time when I was 15. Before I was 16, I was already a meth addict. And so what my addiction did for me, it helped me. It was my solution for a little bit. It was my solution. It hid all the hurt, it hid all the pain. It was my escape. It gave me a confidence that I didn't find at home. It gave me a confidence that a validation that I thought that I needed, and that was the only way that I knew. That was the only way that I knew that I could cope with the pain from seeing the domestic violence. So I talk about that a lot because it's not really addressed a whole lot. I've seen it on both sides, from my mom being the abuser and being the one and being the one abused. And then when my dad was married to the caregiver for a while, my stepmom, she was the abuser, and I seen my dad, in the victim role. And so I've seen it from both sides, and that drove a lot of my drove a lot of how I perceived a relationship or what a relationship should have been. And so I remember at an early age, 15 years old, experiencing domestic violence. Into my teenage years, going, the man that I had, or the boy that I had, because we were just kids, 14, 15 years old. So we were already in a relationship like that. And so seeing what I've seen at home, at my mom, seeing what I've seen at home, at my dad's, that's what I ended up settling for in high school. A lot of people don't talk about that kind of stuff. It's a little hard. I'm thankful today that I can be up here and, talk about those things. I have young ladies, I got a 17-year-old daughter getting ready to be 17-year-old, getting ready to be an 18-year-old son. And my youngest daughter just turned 13. And so I try to address those things whenever I can, whenever I see young people, because I didn't have anybody talking to me about those things. And that was a big driving force in my alcoholism and my addiction. But so when I was in seventh grade, like the end of my seventh grade year, I had lost a really close cousin. Like she was my sister, and to domestic violence. Her boyfriend had shot her in the back of the head, and she was 6 months pregnant with my nephew at the time. And she was only 16 years old, star basketball player, star athlete, star cheerleader. And it just seemed like after that happened, man, like I didn't even really care. You know, I still maintained my grade point average in school. I still played basketball. I still did all these things, but in every single bit of my free time, I was partying. I was using. I was even skipping school. You know, I still kept the I still kept the facade that I was like this good kid. You know, that's the only way that I could get away with it with my dad. And you know, it came to the point that you know, by the time my senior year, I had already had a son, and I had already had a son in high school. I had to join the Army. That fell through because I kept getting pregnant, you know, and so I did 2 years in the National Guard, not ever completing anything because I was too consumed with, not only my addiction and my alcoholism, but now I was raising 2 kids, you know, before I was 19 years old. And so when that had happened, I was like thinking to myself, man, like, what am I going to do now? All I ever wanted to do was be in the Army. I wanted to be a soldier. Like, what am I going to do now? And so having those thoughts, you know, I didn't really think there was anything left for me to do. At the time, you know, I was married, and he was also an alcoholic. He was also an addict. And so that became our common denominator. That's how we had met, actually, you know. And so we were married for almost 10 years, and it was a pretty toxic relationship. It's pretty violent. It got violent. And I think that if I hadn't ever stepped away from that, you know, it was probably going to end up in a terrible way. You know, in 2015, I didn't have anything left to do. I didn't have any more strength, you know, and I thought my only way out was to take my own life. And I had been drinking all day, and I was just tired. I was just tired of being an addict. I was tired of being an alcoholic. And I had this plan that I was going to, you know, jump in my car. I was going to jump in my car, and I was going to drive as fast as I could down this hill on the way to Thomas, and ran myself into the bridge, the corner of the bridge. And for some reason, man, like God sent my brother to me. And this is before I had a relationship with Creator. God had sent my brother to me. And he came over, and he was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, I said, "Man, if you don't drive me to Red Rock, like I'm about to do something really crazy." And he thought I was just playing around. And I was like, "No, man, like if you don't take me, this is what I'm going to do." And so he ended up driving me to Red Rock and Clinton, and I spent 7 days in there in 2015, 6-7 days. But so for that brief time, I experienced, you know, sobriety. You know, I experienced something. You know, I seen a little glimmer of hope. But as soon as I was discharged, man, I walked back out to my husband at the time with a beer in his hand, asked me if I wanted to get high, and, you know, there I was chasing that sack again. And so that led into a downward spiral in my life again. So by the end of 2015, I was using. I never quit using. I never quit using. There was a brief time that when I was pregnant with my children, when I quit drinking. But you know, on my own, I used to tell people, "Yeah, man, I've been sober for 8 months," you know. But in reality, I was just sneaking around, you know. I was sneaking around. I was still getting high, laying there trying to act like I was sleeping, you know. And the whole time, like, he was doing the same thing. So here we are, like thinking we're keeping this big secret from one another, and like we both, we're not. And so I lived that life for a really long time. I used to say, man, I was a really great mom. I'm a better mom today, though. I'm sober, I'm in recovery, and I know these things to practice and put forth in my walk each and every day. But I lived a double life. I was a soccer mom. I was a soccer coach. I was on the PTA. I was super involved with my kids' life, but nobody ever knew what was going on at home. Everybody thought that it was just this perfect family. And from the outside looking in, it was. But man, I was dead, man. Like I was dead. I was dead, and I didn't really want to have anything to do with anybody. From the violence that he and I put ourselves through, it became so prominent that whenever it wasn't happening, that I would ag it on, and or I would cause something for it to happen, or I would just start something just because I got so used to that norm of, us being so violent to each other, the toxicity when it wasn't happening. I like begged for it to happen basically. And, finally in 2015, I had gotten into some trouble, um, and at the time I was working for the school. I was working for the school I was like the coolest lunch lady ever. But that's where I learned a lot of my cooking at. But when I was working for the school, I was also working part-time for DHS, running an in-home child daycare center. And so we had a disagreement, and there was kids there. And the grandparents of these kids were like, well, if you don't do something about it, we're going to file charges against you. And so that actually saved my life. That actually helped me get out of that relationship. And I always like to tell people this too. Like today, he's also a changed man. He's in recovery. He's in sobriety. I think he's going on like 4 or 5 years sober and clean. And so that's a big deal. Now today we're able to set like us aside and just keep it about our children. And so taking both of ourselves out of the equation and just focusing on our kids it's been amazing. It wasn't always easy though, and it took a long time for us to get to where we're at. So I wanted to say that. So, because he's in a good place now, you know what I mean? Just like I am, he's in a good place, but it's just crazy. Like what drugs and alcohol would do. Nothing good ever comes out of that. Nothing, every experience that I've had with any of those two things, man, nothing good has ever come out of that. But I wish I could say that whenever I got out of that relationship, everything ended. Like it didn't. That was when everything began really for me. Now I didn't have to. Now I didn't have to hide behind a relationship. You know what I mean? I was free. I was free, and because I was free, I could do whatever I wanted to do, and I did. And I slowly began to leave my kids with people. I would bring people into my house. I started messing with a lot heavier drugs. I was starting to sell it, and that just didn't. It wasn't just a little bit. It was a lot. It was a lot here. It was a lot there. It was a lot over there. And so by the time 2016 came around, I had caught my first drug charges. Had already went to jail for possession, and then I was on the run, and all the time, I got three little kids, man. Like, and I'm just leaving them wherever, whenever, to go make these runs, go chase this money, and they'll tell you their truth, like how I was, and still today that still hurts, like there's still a lot of unhealed trauma there from the things that they've seen me go through, from the things that I've put them through. They'll even tell you like countless times, like, Mom, there was a lot of times like all we had to eat was crackers. And like I think about that now, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I didn't do that, and they'll tell me like, yeah, you did. And that hurts my heart so much for them, because I still remember that so vividly. But and I just continue to get in trouble. And eventually that led me to prison. that led me to prison in 2018. I had caught a charge while being on probation for possession of Percocets, of pills, and so they put me on DOC probation. And by the end of, before September of 2018 came, I had become a heroin addict. I had begun shooting up dope, shooting up pills, shooting up anything and everything. You know, that was, people ask me like, what's your drug of choice? You know, and I tell them like everything, anything, and all of it. Whatever was going to change the way I felt up here, whatever was going to keep me far from reality, that's what I did. And I was comfortable with that, you know. I went from like 180 pounds, man, to like 125 pounds soaking wet. And it was crazy because I'm kind of a big girl, you know, like I'm kind of, I'm kind of tall, you know, I'm kind of like, and so from going from that to that, you know, I allowed myself to experience a lot of things that, you know, I didn't really want, that I didn't really ask for. And so within my addiction, within my alcoholism, I put myself in a lot of situations where, you know, molestation happened, rape had happened, and I never had a voice growing up. I never thought I had a voice growing up. I was exposed to that as a young child through other family. And so being in my addiction and my alcoholism, you know, I just chalked it up to that. You know, I never stood up for myself. I never said anything about it. And so because I put myself in these situations, you know, I always in the back of my mind, like, well, you deserve that. You know, I thought that was something that was supposed to happen still because of my using, because of my drinking. And so, you know, I tell people like, I never asked for those things to happen to me. But I also never asked, you know, but I never asked for those things to happen to me. And I didn't know that I had a voice. Today, I know that I do, you know. Today, I know who I am. And, you know, all this time, I'm living this life, you know, experiencing the drugs, the alcoholism, you know, not feeling good enough, not feeling loved. You know, when I'm in high school, I'm cutting. You know, I remember, I think I was like 9 or 10 the first time I had the thought, like, I don't want to be here no more. And, you know, trying to speak up and, you know, tell my dad, he said, oh, it'll go away, you know, and it never went away. It never went away. And it just never went away. And so I had dealt with that, you know, the mental health aspect of everything as well. And a lot of that, you know, played into my addiction too. And so, you know, that's not where I'm at today. Thank God. To God be the glory. That's not where I'm at today. But a lot of it was because of lack of relationship with the Creator. You know, in 2018, you know, I just got tired. I found myself like so mad. You know, I just got done. You know, I told you guys I was an IV user, and I just got done, you know, doing my thing and sitting in my bathroom. It took me forever before I could find my vein. It took me forever. And when I finally did, like, it didn't do nothing. It didn't do nothing. I got so angry. I got so mad. And I just remember just throwing everything out of my closet, throwing everything off my kitchen or off my bathroom sink, and just like looking at myself in the mirror. And like I just started crying, like, Casandra, what is wrong with you? Like, what are you doing to yourself? You know, I begin to question every single thing. You know, I begin to see my kids. They were coming into my sight. They were coming into my memory. Like, why are you doing this to them? Like, you have 3 little people that love you. Like, why are you doing this to them? And, you know, I feel like that was like my first spiritual awakening, which should have really, you know, sent me off the charts. Like, it didn't do what I wanted it to do, and I was mad. And I found myself on my bedroom floor crying what had looked like a puddle of water. Like somebody spilled a cup of water in front of me, and it was my tears. And in that moment, I remember crying, and I remember talking to God, like, if you're real, like, if you're really, like, you're gonna have to show me. You're gonna have to prove it to me that you're real. Like, I don't know who you are, but if you're real, I need you to save me from myself. And because I knew a lot of people say, I don't know what would have happened to me if I didn't find that relationship. I don't know where I would be at, but I know where I would be at. I was living it, man. I was living it. And you learn once you get into this program, once you get into recovery, that it's either jails, institutions, or graves. And I was already doing that. I was making my way to having that dash between my birthday and whatever was lying ahead of me. And so whenever I had, realized what I was praying to him for, I remember praying and asking him, like, you're going to have to, like, send me away. And it kind of snapped me out of it. Like, did you just pray? Like, questioning myself now in my own prayer as I'm talking to the God of my understanding at the time, a God that I didn't even believe in, a God that I didn't even know. And asking, like, you're gonna have to put me in jail. You're gonna have to send me away, because if I don't have that, then I'm not gonna change. And that was October 5th of 2018. October 8th, 2018. Here I am, man. Driving without a tail light. My freaking tag light is out. I got a sawed-off shotgun in the back of my truck. I got casings all over my dash. I got needles, points everywhere, caps all over the place. Drinking a glass of wine and not even driving. And next thing I know, I see berries and cherries. Cops pulled us over. And like, let me tell you though, like, I never felt more at peace in my life. I never felt more at peace in my life. I was so tired. I think I had like $150,000 bond. I knew I wasn't getting out of jail. The cop that had arrested us, that pulled us over, I even had a chance to, blame the passenger to give, I even had the chance to tell the cops, like, this isn't my gun, like, this is hers. And I tried to do that, and like, I couldn't. I just ended up telling that officer, like, hey man, like, I lied. Like, in that moment, like, I lied, that's mine. Like, everything in this truck is mine. And so I went to county and had like the most peaceful sleep. I should have been under doctor's supervision. Everything that I was on, everything I had been on, everything that I had in my system, and had like I didn't have any kind of withdrawals. I didn't have any kind of DTs. And so little did I know that, like, God was already like working himself in my life. Creator was making his presence known. And I remember getting upset when I was in county, when I was, waiting to go before the judge, getting upset with women coming in and out. And it was kind of cool because for 2 months, man, there was only 6 or 7 of us in there. And then at a time for like 3 or 4 days, there was just me in there by myself. And so I had a lot of time to like really sit with who I was, where I wanted to be, where I was going, and what I just came from. And so, I just sat up one day, and, I just started reading the Bible. And that's really where I found my freedom at, in gaining a relationship with God, with Creator. I don't believe in religion. I believe in relationship. What he's doing in my life has nothing to do but between what he and I are doing, what we commune about, what we talk about. And so that's where my freedom came from. And I just remember praying and asking him, like, man, I want to understand this. Like, I want to understand this because I want my life to change. And, he started sending people to me while I was locked up. He started sending people to me. And one of those people happens to be like my best friend today. And he used this person to really show me, the value of friendship, the value of love, the value of, being honest. I've never been so honest with anybody else in my life. And she was that person for me. And we're still friends to this day. Like, she came from a family of ministry. And I just remember asking her, like, hey, what does this mean? And she would explain it to me. And I was just like, oh, I started getting like revelation. Then I didn't know what that was. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I don't know what it means. And I would go tell her, and I would talk to her about it. And so that one of the verses that changed my life when I first started seeking this relationship, it's found in Romans. And man, it's Romans chapter 15, verses 13. It says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit you may abound in hope." And I just remember when I read that, I was like, man, I want that. Like, what is that? I want to be hopeful. I want to have peace. I want to have joy. Like, how do I get those things? And he just started like downloading I guess wisdom, revelation, insight. And so I learned that in all of that, it was just really staying in commune with him, really talking to him. So I started journaling a lot. I started coloring a lot. I started singing a lot. I started dancing a lot. And I can't keep rhythm for nothing, but I love to dance, and I'll always dance before. I'll always have a dance in my worship, for Creator, because He's just done something. He's done so much in my life. Like where I'm at today, He took me from everything that was meant to destroy me and brought me where I'm at today. And so that was the start of the biggest change in my life. And so when I went to prison, I thought I was going to have like a terrible experience. And it wasn't, man. Like I truly found freedom behind those fences, behind those walls. I got into one fight. It's the last fight I've ever had. Other than, this time whenever I tried to tackle my daughter, and I was just like, what are you doing? Like, that girl's bigger than you. She could hurt you if she wanted to. But so I came from like a really violent background with my history and drugs and alcohol and everything else, to like God really changing me from the inside out. And so whenever I was in prison, I just spent all the time that I had, man, in my word, journaling, in the chapel, whatever class was going on there. Like, I knew that I had to be there. I remember, praying to him again before I hit a yard. Like, you saved me from myself, realizing that He answered a prayer that I had prayed, on October 5th of 2018, that He had answered that. And I remember like telling Him, like, I will give him, like, my life does not belong to me anymore. My life belongs to You. And I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. I believe in progress, not perfection. My main goal each and every day after that was just to become a better person, better than the person I was yesterday. And it's gotten me this far, it's gotten me this far, with the help of my Creator, with the help of the people that He places in my life. I owe it all to Him. And so as I'm in prison, I begin doing discipleship classes. I begin teaching classes. I begin, helping other young ladies wanting to change their life, just, encouraging them. And I think that for me, that's like one of the biggest changes in my life, was just being encouraged. I didn't have that a lot growing up. I didn't have, I'm proud of you. I didn't have, I didn't have those things. And so it was still, even up till like 2 or 3 years ago, it was still hard for me to hear that stuff. But it was always a lot easier for me to encourage the younger ones or anybody else in my circle, like, you can do this, like, you can do this. And that really is a gift. Like that really is the gift, to see beyond a person's mistakes and to see them for who they really are. That's a big deal. And I try to do that for each and every person that I come in contact with. Like, man, you're worthy, you're loved, you're enough. All these things that I would have liked to hear, I shower that on everybody else. And so I got out of prison in 2021, or no, 2020, May of 2020. I knew I wasn't ready to go home yet, because I had been tempted whenever I was in work release. When COVID got shut down, when COVID shut everything down, I had been tempted to leave with a homie then. And even still, even in his messiness, even in his chaos, like, God used him as a vessel in my life. And he ended up telling me, like, listen, I didn't come pick you up because I knew that if I came to pick you up, you were going to end up going back to the same thing that you worked so hard to get out of. And so, I'm thankful for him. And I still have a good relationship with my brother today. And, even though he's still out in his mess, I still do what I can to encourage him and to let him know that he's loved. Like, just because you're doing this doesn't mean that you don't have any worth. Everybody deserves a chance. Everybody deserves to be loved. And so I went into transitional living after I got out of prison. I was there for, almost 2 years. And then I had this wonderful opportunity. That one of my sisters talked to me about. And it was crazy too, because when I was in transitional living, a lot of good things happened to me there. And, a lot of good things still happen for me today. But, I started continuing discipleship. I became an ordained evangelist there. And, I really started learning and diving into the word. And that helped me. In that time I got my kids back. They had made the transition to live with me by the end of the year of 2020. By December 16th is whenever I got my kids back full time. And the March of the 21 is whenever I was ordained. By the end of, and all this time, man, God was just working in my favor. Creator was just working for me. And I had a job with working for the city. That's crazy. Like a 4-time felon working for the city. I don't know. It just blew my mind. I had a lot of amazing career opportunities. I volunteered at a food pantry for a while. That was amazing, giving back to the community and that in that manner. And, I first heard about peer support whenever, I don't know, like 2015, 2016, when I first started getting into trouble. And it was a thought then. And I was like, nah, if it comes back around, it'll come back around. By that time I was already in my addiction. I was in my addiction. And then, but came back around in 2022. At the end of 2021. And so I seen that our tribe was, had an opening for a peer. And so I made that transition, and it was really scary at first because, man, I thought that I had to do everything on my own before coming over here. And I don't know, this guy held my job for me for like 4 months, like 3 months. That just doesn't happen anywhere, so already, God set that up. And so I was here for about 1.5 years, and I'm still here today. I don't know. I volunteer a lot here. I love this place, man. I love these guys. I love what we're doing for the community. But I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling now. I don't know. A lot of this, I just owe to Creator. Like, I wouldn't be where I'm at today without my relationship with him. And when I was in prison, that's all I ever wanted to do was be a beacon of hope. Like, I began asking myself, like, what am I going to do? Who am I? And he's always just given me this verse to set the captives free, wherever that may be at, whether it be in your heart, wherever it be in your mind, wherever it be either it be an addiction or whatever. He's just always told me, like, your job is to be a beacon of hope to help set the captives free. And so that's what that's what I live by today, is, to be a hope dealer, a hope dealer, not a dope dealer. But, so today, what keeps me sober, what keeps me grounded, and I can't say it enough, my relationship with God, my relationship with God, underneath that, is he's brought me into rooms like this. He's brought people like you in my path to help me along the way. And even though that I'm up here, sharing my experience, strength, and hope, like, everything that you guys do impacts my life so much too. Like, I couldn't be here without you. And, whenever we went to the Wellbriety gathering in September, Dawn Mr. Coy, he's kept saying, it starts with you. It starts with you. And, you know, I had to do a lot of healing, and I'm still doing a lot of healing. And that's where I'm at today. You know, I'm not giving myself away anymore. You know, I'm giving myself to him. I'm doing these things that aren't just going to benefit me, you know, but I look at how it's going to benefit my home, how it's going to benefit my children. Because one of my favorite quotes is like, if you want to see a change in the world, it starts at home, starts with your family. And so for me today, that looks like being more present in my children's lives. It means putting my phone down for 15 minutes to hear what they got to say. You know, it means even if it's uncomfortable, you know, because a lot of that is uncomfortable when we come from, you know, the alienation, the isolation, all of those things, you know, that can be uncomfortable, but it's something that I have to work actively at today. You know, every single morning I wake up, and I shared this on the live this morning. For like the last 45 days, I wake up and, you know, I tell myself what I want to be, how I see myself, how I view myself. And, you know, I may not follow it through all the way, but this is what I'm striving to be. And so I would like to share it with you guys. And so every morning, you know, every morning I write this out. I will walk in integrity, faith, honor, truth, purpose, courage, strength, and unity. I will not fear. I will not let it consume me. I am solution. I will honor my family, my community, and myself by being honest, true, and vulnerable. I will operate out of love. I will reach out and ask for help. I will learn from my past and apply wisdom to my daily walk. I will better my home by being present in the lives of my children, nieces, and nephews. In doing so, my community and myself will become better. Laughter and joy are some of the greatest gifts and medicines that Creator has given me, and I will carry them proudly. I will stand up for what is right. I am light, and I will not be covered up, put out, or snuffed out. I will walk in truth because I'm a truth teller. I will take care of myself, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I recognize failures are good. They're not bad things. They're just God's process of refining me to keep my focus on Him and to better who I am. I will stay on the red road of healing, the red road of faith, the red road of virtue. And I will be my true, authentic self, and I will not give up. You know, and I tell myself every morning, like, I matter to me. I love myself. I'm important. I will allow myself to grieve, and I will not be stuck there. You know, for grieving is a hard thing, you know, despite how much I've done in my past, there's still a lot of people, you know, that we lose to this thing every single day that don't make it out. There's still a lot of people that we lose that are still here, you know, and I think those are some of the hardest relationships that I've had to grieve is the people that are still here that don't know that there's a way out. You know, so when I stand up here, I don't just stand up here for my family. I don't stand up here just for, you know, myself or for you all, but I stand up here for those that suffer in silence to let them know that there is a way out. There is hope. You don't have to sit in the dark alone. Like, you know, you don't have to do all that. We weren't designed for that. We were designed for love. We're designed to help one another, to be helpers of one another. And so whenever I find myself, you know, in those moments, I always think of what can I do? What can I do? How can I be of service for the next person? You know, and God will bring to my heart and bring to my spirit who I need to pray for, who I need to reach out to. Today I work with a sponsor. I get to go into 4 county jails. We just finished up in Woodward County and Ellis County, taking the Wellbriety 12 steps for men and women in there. Man, that was like always, you know, that was always a dream of mine. When I was in prison, I always said that I'm going to come back here, you know, and I'm going to get to leave. And so that happened for the first time in May. You know, I got to go back to Mabel Bassett. I got to go back in with ministry. Hour of power. And so to be able to walk back through those gates and to see like where God had brought me from and where He's taken me to, like, you know, everything good that I could imagine for myself or imagine for anybody else, I mean, is nothing compared to what He's got in store for you. There's nothing compared to what I got in store for me. And so and I get to go back there on Thursday, guys. You know, it's an amazing thing. We just got done having a hygiene drive for all the women there, and that's a big deal. From being in there myself, spending a couple Christmases there, knowing how much like just soap and toothpaste impacts a woman's life, man, that's a big deal. And so, you know, things that I've prayed for, God is answering. Things that the restoration of walking this road, man, has just been amazing. And he's not done yet. He's not done with me. He's not done with you. And he just wants to keep showering us in that love and that goodness and that grace and that mercy. And I don't know, I'm just getting excited about it now. I'm just getting so excited about it because, you know, the joy that I walk in today, like nobody can take that away from me. Like the peace that I have today, nobody can take that away from me. And, you know, for so long in my life, I looked for the validation of others. You know, I looked for the being okay with, you know, settling for less than. But today, you know, I'm okay with myself. I'm at this point in my life where I just love myself, and I love myself completely. Every morning I wake up, I don't even look in the mirror yet. I look at these affirmations that I have on my wall. That's what I call my mirror. You know, I look at that mirror. You know, I look in the mirror of truth before I even go to the, you know, the mirror where I can see myself. And I tell myself, you know, like, I love you, Casandra Faye. Like, I love you. You are capable of everything and anything that I have in store for you. Like, you know, I tell myself that. And it sounds so cliche, but it works. Like, it works. These thoughts that used to consume me, that used to take control of me, that used to drive me down to the ground, man, they're less and less today. They're less and less today. Does it happen still? Yeah, sometimes it does still happen. You know, but I know a way out. I know a way out. All I got to do is call upon him, and he's there for me. And so, I don't know. I just want to say that I really appreciate each and every one of you showing up here tonight, and the support that you guys continue to do in your communities. That's a big deal. You know, just your smiles, your hellos, you know, coming in to eat with us and praying with us. Thank you. Thank you for praying over our food. I appreciate that. And just the encouragement that you guys continue to shower us with, and the programs and things that you guys are doing. That's a big deal. And I just want you to know that it doesn't go unseen, and that you're loved, and that you're important, and, you know, you matter. Like, you matter. And with that, I guess I'm done. Questions, comments? No, I'm just kidding. Am I still on here? Oh, what's up? Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate it. I love you, and you.